If we suspend the Constitution of the United States, in other words, take away 100% of your rights, my rights, and every American's rights, will that guarantee that we'll preserve our rights? Hey guys, study after study shows that if you want strong bones and muscles, healthy hair, skin, teeth, and nails, you need the 5 types of collagen in your diet. I get mine from BioTrust. I've got a link in the description with a massive discount, and it'll tell you all about it. Okay, maybe I'm missing something here, and I probably am. I hope I am. But it also looks like we kind of slipped off into the twilight zone a little bit. We've got Donald Trump on Truth Social actually calling for martial law, a suspension of the Constitution. Now, I get it. I understand. I agree with what a lot of you are thinking right now. And I agree with what Lysander Spooner said. Whether the Constitution be one thing or another, this much is certain. It's either authorized such a tyrannical government as we have, or it's been powerless to stop it. In either case, the Constitution is unfit to exist. In other words, we get this Constitution set up, and it's supposed to put parameters on and shackle political parasites, and yet it does nothing of the sort. We have the most bloated, inflated, debt-ridden, powerful, national debt-creating corporate bureaucracy we've ever had in the history of mankind. So that Constitution did not stop the criminality that's happening in Washington and has been happening in Washington's District of Criminals. So Donald Trump writes on Truth Social, with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democrat Party, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. So what he's calling for here is a suspension of the Constitution, which would be a suspension of the Bill of Rights, which would be a suspension of your right to a free press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. It would be a suspension of the right to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed. It'd be a suspension of the Third Amendment against quartering troops, or the Fourth Amendment, which is to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. And anybody can come in your house at any time if they're a government official because, hey, we got to find out what happened with the election results. We have to suspend all individual rights. That's what a suspension of the Constitution is. And then it says, our founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. So, because you can't elect a political parasite so that they can tell everybody what to do and create rules and regulations and laws where if you don't follow them, then you're going to be punished, rightly so, by those in charge, those in power. If we can't have that, then we got to suspend the Constitution. We got to preserve rights by suspending rights, is literally what they're saying. And just so that there's no doubt about what Trump is saying, the Republicans for National Renewal say, we support the president's, that's Donald Trump's, call for a temporary suspension of the Constitution to rectify the problem of mass electoral fraud in our country. That's their opinion. We got to suspend individual rights so that we can preserve the individual right to, you have the right to vote for your own political parasite. As we've said many times on this channel, politics is now and has always been the clever and deceptive art of using euphemisms, lies, emotionalism, and fear-mongering to dupe average people into accepting and even demanding the chains of their own enslavement. I want the Democrats to rule me. I want the Republicans to rule me. So you got this left versus right paradigm lie going on, while the international banksters who are in control behind the scenes, pulling the levers and pushing the buttons of power, going, I am so glad this is working so good. The recipe is perfect. Don't change a thing. People are actually falling for this to the point where Republicans are calling for a suspension of their own rights so that they can retain their rights. This is crazy. It's crazy business.
These people right here say, this is absurd and ridiculous. Grow up and stop being dumbasses. The media usually calls Republicans fascists without any basis, but this absurd stance that you mental midgets are taking is basically what the fascists in Germany did to replace Hitler on a glide path to power. And that was probably what they're referring to as the Reichstag fire decree, where all rights were suspended until a new power came into power. These people right here, the Republicans for National Renewal, say the idea of an Article 5 Convention of the States has been discussed by conservative thinkers for years. Why not extend it beyond balanced budgets and term limits to take the necessary steps to preserve election integrity? Participating in the criminal election process, and what I mean by criminal is we don't call it Washington's District of Criminals for nothing. Why do we have a national debt? Why do we have a Federal Reserve? Why do we have an IRS? Why do we have a DEA, a CIA, an FBI, a Department of Homeland Security as of 2002, a TSA groping and molesting us in airports all across the country? Why? Because people decided, hey, it's just not important enough to secure and fight for our individual rights, namely the Fourth Amendment, and if you're talking about it in airports. The rights to be secure in your person. You're not secure in your person when you're emptying your pockets to put into the bin and opening up your laptop bag so they can inspect it and pouring out your shampoo because you got more than 3 ounces. That is not being secure in your person, and that is not preserving your Fourth Amendment right. You've lost. Fourth Amendment rights are gone with the Patriot Act. But because Americans are okay with the Patriot Act and the frog water has been turned up to 10 and it's boiling like crazy, we've lost it through the Patriot Act. We've lost it through the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which started the Vietnam War. We've lost it through, they were making plans to actually commit terrorist acts to get us embroiled into a war with Cuba in Operation Northwoods. We've lost it through the Federal Reserve Act. Now we have a criminal cartel who's issuing our currency and stating the value thereof and creating inflation and blaming other things. We have all that under the watchful eye of the Constitution. Imagine how much worse it's going to get when they suspend the Constitution, and now you got Republicans calling for the suspension of the Constitution. No, it's okay for them to take away 100% of our rights so that we can secure 100% of our rights. It's literal lunacy and insanity. So now we got lunacy and insanity coming from the left, and we got lunacy and insanity coming on the right. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, we need martial law. We got to get rid of the Democrats and the libtards. And in order to do that, we got to give some things up, namely 100% of our rights. That's the only way we're going to be able to accomplish this. How does this make any sense? What the heck am I missing? Unbelievable. This isn't calling for insurrection. President Trump's proposal can be implemented legally through the Article 5 process. But in order to do that, we got to take away 100% of your rights. We're quoting the founding fathers in a totally different context, and, quote, dissolve the political bans means literally what it says, not armed rebellion. I'm telling you guys, this is what happens when you have presidents get behind the desk resolute at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and then they start becoming puppets for the New World Order, for the Federal Reserve, for the IRS. Why won't they eliminate the IRS? Why won't any politician run on a platform, on a campaign promise of, hey, we're getting rid of the IRS. We're going to get the domestic terror cell, the IRS, off your back. Why won't they do it? Because they're working for them. They're laying cover for them. They're ensuring that they stay exactly where they are, and this whole situation stays the way it is so that people can continue being domestically terrorized by that domestic terror cell. And they won't say anything about the IRS. The Federal Reserve, what they'll say is, hey, we need quantitative easing. We need money printing. We need to stimulate the economy. We need to remain subservient to the Federal Reserve. Unbelievable, man. This is one of those things where you just want to pinch yourself and go, am I awake? Where am I? Is this the Twilight Zone? Where's Rod Serling? I'm just waiting for him to jump out from behind a building or a tree somewhere. It's crazy. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. I will see you guys in the next video.
Guys, we already know that they want to decimate the dollar, destroy the economy, bring us into a cashless society, and eventually make it difficult for us to even get food. That's why I constantly promote My Patriot Supply. Every chance I get, I turn my fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. This stuff is awesome. It's got a 25-year shelf life. And one thing we're all going to need is storable food. It's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. With my link in the description, you get $100 off of every order instantly. It'd be a good idea to order it while you can, because I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to ship this out. My link for your $100 off discount is in the description below.